Alright, so took some notes. Talking to my buddy after that. And I thought more about the Watchman code, the Doomsday Clock. Now, Doomsday is Armageddon. It's how long will it take the massives to realize the mathematics of creation code? How it can no longer be ignored anymore because of how beautiful and synchronistic it all is. Now, 11:59, 11 p.m. Okay, 59 minutes would be 1 minute till midnight. Now, I understand that the cells actually said 21:59. Now, 2100 o'clock is actually 9. It's a paradox. It's the 9/11 paradox, okay? It's the 91 circled. It's a 9/11 paradox. It's Comet Elenin. It can be a 9 or an 11. It can be an IX or an XI. You have to understand we live in a world of duality, and when you circle that 1 by 3, you have to account for the +1 of reading it forwards and the +1 of reading it backwards. +2, which is just an 8 folded in half to have 2 circles with the dot that gets evaporated because 2 circles sitting on top of each other will homogenize that other singularity. Now, 318 code is very interesting, okay? It's like your Abrahamic God religion story, okay? Which you obviously haven't decoded. But the 318, I found it literally in a 2 by 2 quadrant of the middle of the 12 by 12 matrix. Now, 318. If you circle the 1 and the 8, 2 plus 1s would be a 20, 320. That creates 60. 3 times 20 is 60. It's also a 23 or a 32, which is also a big deal. You want to talk Jim Carrey movies. But that 60 represents the first one of 5-dimensional Earth consciousness. Now, 5-dimensional Earth consciousness, I don't say it's 1 of 7 of 13 of 110 of 2143. I always correct myself and say, no, it is 1. Because that circle around the 1 by 5 is a 1. It's 1 of 7 of 13 of 110 of 2143. The scale for the cellular energy device is a 1 is equal to 60 millimeters. 1 of 7. Guy, it's 60, 60, 7. Read it backwards. 706? What did I just find? As the darkest cells in my 13 by 13 matrix, there's 3 cells, they sum to 706. The center of the 9 by 9 is 76. Now, if that's one of the ones, and in time we have 60 minutes in an hour and 60 seconds in a minute after each other. Now, if the leading one, has been accounted for by the 318 code, or the 320, or the 60, because that was necessary. We had to make the 12 by 12 matrix with the 318 in the middle to get the first 60. Now, where does the second 60 come from? Okay. We understand that the evolution of the 12 by 12 into a 13 by 13 means that it is only 1/4 of a 25 by 25 matrix, or a 24D cell. A 24 is just a 6 that's circled. It's a 60. Those are your 60 seconds in a minute. Circled 6 is a 7. Back to 67, guy? Or 76? So, yeah, that now then, if you've accounted for 60 seconds in a minute, what's the lower unit now? What's the lowest unit you can go in time? Okay? You have creation code for your base units of time, okay? Now, what is it, like 1 second to midnight? What happens when you go past the decimals? How do we refer to time when it's less than a second? We refer to time when it's less than a second as base 10 time, because we think about it in tenths of a second. Hundredths, thousandths. It changes to the infinite, okay? The infinite is on the decimal side. That's where everything is broken into tens. Now think of it this way. to make the 25 by 25 matrix, since we already have we have a starting point, we have a 13 by 13 matrix. It's a good enough point as any. Just like I did the 12 by 12 by using the 9 by 9 matrix, we have a 13 by 13 to make a 25 by 25. Now, how many different ways? So in that 13 by 13 matrix, what is the lowest value? The lowest value is no longer a 1. It is a 2. 5 to 1? Five to 1 code. Which makes every cell numerically in that matrix a 1 by 2. Remember, in the 9 by 9 matrix, you have cells that are single digits. The new cells are going to be double digits, which is why the numbers get so big. So if you have a number like 5 million and change, it's really going to be, every odd number is going to have a 0 or a 0 before the most to the left when you're looking at it of the number. So like 5 million will be 05 million. Because it makes a difference, because you have to create 1 by 2s. You can also think of maybe that 5 as a 1 by 2 going into the plane, and you only see the 1 by 1 at the end. But you still have to know it's a 1 by 2. That's probably what happens, actually. You got to figure out what's in the other end of the 1 by 2 that way. Probably another 5. Anyways, so now that we understand duality, and the lowest value is at 2, and all of your cells numerically in the cells of the matrix are going to be 1 by 2s as a self instead of 1 by 1s, because you're a different dimension apart, like you're the n plus 1 dimension apart for that 13 by 13 matrix. Now when you combine it into, like, 2 13s would create an overlap, which means you'll have the 13 and then a 12 or 25, but you're going to have 4 quadrants again. So how many different ways are there of using a 1 by 2? Like 2 1 by 2s. Okay, like literally, you can create, with 2 1 by 2, like let's think of these crayons as 1 by 2s. Okay, so you can create a 2 by 2. You can create a 1 by 3 with a 1 by 2 hanging off of it, like an L, right? You can create a 1 by 4, right? So if everything is upside down, backwards, and flipped, maybe you just have to take the 13 by 13 matrix, shove it in one quadrant, okay, where the center of that quadrant, because it's an odd number, will be the 7th and 7th, right? And you'll have 6 on either side of it. But you have to think, there's got to be a pattern change maybe for the center. No, this is what you do. You gotta think higher. Guy, you're gonna make 4 different matrices, okay? 4 different 25 by 25 matrices, or 4 different 24D cells, because 25 by 25 would be 13 in the middle, 13 in the middle. 1 of 7 of 13. 7's the middle. 13 is now the new middle. I think you had a group like in the heaven or something, or the middle of it, all the different ways of getting 4, because you're going to have to be playing with 1 by 4s. And when you have 2 as your lowest value, if you're going to superimpose another matrix on top of this one, if you flip it somehow, the lowest possible digit you can probably get is a 4. Okay, 2 and 2 is a 4. They can't get any lower than that. Which means that this is your 4, this is your 4, or this is your 4. You know, it's an L, it's an I, literally, it's an I. That's a V, because the new space in between, like if I put it this way, the new space in between would look like a V going in and out of the plane. So literally, it's I, V, L. Maybe this is a V as well as an X. It's an X, it's a square, square is an X. So you have an I, V, X, L. And every Roman numeral after that, up to repetition of the same characters with lines on top, has a curve in it. Well, C and D have curves in them, so it's infinite number of singularities, because C and D is a 3 and 4 because of the visual light spectrum. You have the 3 ultraviolet and the 4 infrared. It's just frequencies of light bending. And M is your 1000 because it's the understanding of 1000. It's the 4D. It's time. It's all about time. So I do believe that the whole derivation today, fucking amazing, by the way. I found a 5921, and you had to reverse the 1x2s, remember? You had to reverse the 1x2s, not reverse the digits inside the 1x2s. 2159 is a paradox between 911 and Elenin. It's either 959 or it's 1159, and if it's 1159, there are 60 seconds less. One of the 1 of 7 of 13 of 110 of 2143 of 5-dimensional Earth consciousness depicts the 60 minutes and an hour. And I believe it does that by the 318 code, and how the 18 is a circle, which is a 20, and 3 times 20 is 60, and 3 plus 20 is 23, and that's huge, guy, about the division of all that. And then the other second, or the other 1 in 1 of 7 of 13 of 110 of 2143 of 5-dimensional Earth consciousness depicts the 60 seconds in a minute, which is a derivation of the next evolution of the matrix. Okay, we go from an 8D 9x9 to 11D 12x12 to a 12D 13x13 to make up the 25x25 24D cell. What's 24D? 24 is just a 6 that's circled. 76, a 60, a 6 with a circle is a 60. So technically, I think with the knowledge and the derivation and the math and the proof that I just did like literally an hour ago, means that we are 1 second to midnight. Now, is that second divided into base 10? How many tenths of a second do we have? 10 seconds? If a day is 1,000 years upon the earth, I wonder what a 10 seconds or 1 second would be. I can do the proof, but maybe that's how much time it's going to take for us to understand and come together. You know the movie Contact? When she hears aliens? I heard aliens, guy. I read them in the first page of the Bible, and I turned it into math and cells and bubbles, guy. Pretty smart to do that. But I heard aliens, and I understand the whole higher self concept now more than I did before, about the 7 chakras in your flesh and the 5 outside your flesh, which are probably broken into a 40-60 split, where that 40% lower would be divided into 6.66s. So one would be 33, the other one would be 6.66. The number of man. Number of the beast. The dogs and cats that make up your DNA in your higher selves. N+1 and N reality. Cats and dogs. Humanoids. I hope it doesn't take long. But literally Contact, they had to convince the world, She heard the aliens, she announced it to all the people after she confirmed her. Again, I need people to confirm my work. So if people were to confirm the work that I've done and mathematically, and it's irrefutable because numbers don't lie, and a certain point of view, we're building an argument from ignorance. If it can't be proven false, then why isn't it true? So once the call to prove the math goes out and happens, what I think is going to happen is that maybe we're going to make some noise, and people are going to have to come to grips with, it's going to be like a fucking circus guy. But anyway, who's going to pay for it, who's going to build it, who's going to be on the team, what countries. I think everyone should be, but I think that, I think there's someone has to be blown up with a black hole first. And I need to be the last at some other place. After we calculate it. Or maybe they already have, because light can bend in air. So, yeah, converge all the ways that you can think of Earth. As ball Earth, as flat Earth, as cellular Earth. Okay? As the Earth is a battery in a room point of view. Okay? It's a story. It's a love story. I think there's 3 parallel worlds where the same thing that's happened to me happened to other people. So, it's energy is love. And that's the most powerful energy there is, so